Hey guys, welcome to my birthday cake explosion box tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I like to assemble it. The first thing I'd recommend is to open the design in Design Space. That way you have a visual representation of what we're trying to do. As you can see, I've laid out all the elements on the table almost the same way I have it in Design Space. This is so I know what pieces need to go together. I'm going to start by pushing all the elements away from the middle. That way I have a clear space in the center to work with. And then I like to bring in my mat so I can avoid getting any tape or glue on my table. So let's get started. For the most part, I like to work with one element at a time, but you'll see later that there are exceptions to this. You'll want to start by folding along the score line that your Cricut should have made on your paper. What I like to do is take my Cricut scraper and then run it across that same fold. If you don't have a scraper, that's okay. You can achieve the same effect by using a credit card or ID. Once I've finished folding all the lines on an element, I'll move on to the gluing process. It doesn't necessarily matter if you do your folds or your gluing first. I've just found personally that it's a whole lot easier to line things up if my fold lines are there. You may have noticed for this top piece that I didn't do my folds first. And like I said, that's fine. But because of that, I'm gonna push this to the side and let it dry before I go back and do my folds. Pay close attention here. The center string is supposed to be on top of the side balloons. You're about to see that I accidentally put glue on all three pieces, but I'm gonna rub it off the center because I don't want to glue that piece down just yet. I'm now gonna apply glue to the two outside balloons and glue them down before moving on to the centerpiece. But notice how I pulled the center string out to be on top of them. Once I finish the outer balloons, I can now move on to the center string, apply glue to that, and then apply the final balloon. Now I'm about to move to the bow for the top of the box. I'll do my folds along the score lines, and then you'll see that I grabbed one of my Cricut tools in order to help me do the curve. You'll want to be careful when doing this because the connection piece is so small that you might tear it like I just did. So right now I went back to my Cricut to cut a new bow piece. Basically what you want to do is hold the tool in your hand and put the paper over the tool, put your thumb on top of it and lightly pull it across. This will gently create a curve on your bow. It's time to put the cake together. Because these pieces are so small, I like to use a set of clamps to hold the pieces together while the glue sets. Otherwise, they might come apart. It's not necessary, but I find it very helpful. Earlier, I had mentioned that I like to work with one element at a time, but there are exceptions. Well, here's the exception. Because these pieces are so small and I like to give them time to dry, I'll do one piece, clamp it, move on to the other part of the element, glue it, clamp it, and I go back and forth until I finish gluing all the pieces together. Now it's time for the candles. It may be a little hard to notice, but the candles themselves have score lines on them, so make sure you do your folds, because you need that in order to glue it to the top of the cake. If the cardstock that you're using for the flame is one-sided like mine, make sure that is facing the correct side when you glue it, which is the back side, so they don't see it. You're going to want to pay attention here because we're only going to apply glue to the bottom flap. This is so we don't have any issues later when we try to slide in the insert. If your cardstock is one-sided like mine, I like to fold the pattern on the inside. That way the white can contrast against the second layer of cardstock that we're going to put on top. The pink inserts that you see right now are meant to have a photo or message of your choice. This should have been done before it was cut in Design Space. If not, that's fine. You could always put a second layer of your photo or message or handwrite a message on it directly. Now that it's had enough time to dry, I'm going to go back to the top of the box. I'm going to fold along the score lines and then glue the pieces together. Once you've finished gluing all the individual elements together, it's now time to assemble the entire box. You'll take each piece and center it to the flap. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or issues, and I'll try to get back to you.